Hey Steelers Nation, what's up? It feels like the perfect time to talk about what's happening inside our black and gold world, because the energy around this team right now is something special. The Steelers are back to work on the south side, getting ready for Sunday night's showdown in Englewood against the Chargers. And man, there's one player everyone's been talking about lately, Payton Wilson. The second-year linebacker who's not just fitting in anymore, he's breaking out in a big way. You can see it in his body language, his play speed, and even the way his teammates look at him. It's like he's finally found that rhythm that separates a promising rookie from a legit difference-maker in this league. Let's rewind for a second. The last time a lot of fans were really paying attention to Wilson was back in Atlanta more than a year ago during the preseason. He was showing flashes, but it was still early. He was figuring out who he was as a player in the NFL. Fast forward to now, and the growth is undeniable. He's ranking among the top linebackers in combined tackles, sitting at 16th in the entire league with 71, and 3rd in solo tackles with 44. And get this, that number matches exactly what he had in all 17 games of his rookie season. That's progress. That's consistency. That's a player starting to find his identity. And it's not just the numbers that tell the story. You watch Wilson play, and it's obvious how much sharper he's become. Against the Colts last Sunday, he was everywhere. 14 tackles, 9 of them solo. He wasn't the single reason the Steelers contained Jonathan Taylor or made life tough for Daniel Jones, but he was high on the list. He was leading by example, flying sideline to sideline, showing that rare combination of intelligence and raw speed that coaches dream about. Mike Tomlin even mentioned him in his press conference, praising how much in-game experience Wilson gained last season and how that foundation is paying off now. You can hear the respect in Tomlin's voice when he talks about him, the kind of tone reserved for players who get it, who study, who take the details seriously. Wilson's development isn't just about tackling numbers or flashy plays. It's about how he's handling responsibility. The coaching staff even asked him to fill in as special teams captain in place of Miles Killebrew, and he's taken that role with pride. That says a lot about how much trust they have in him. You can tell he's not just playing football anymore. He's living it. He's got that relationship with the game that Tomlin always talks about, that deep understanding of what it takes to keep improving. And let's not ignore what really makes him stand out, that absurd, world-class speed. It's one thing to see it on TV, but fans who've watched him live will tell you it's something completely different. There's this intensity to the way he moves, like he's always a step ahead, reading plays before they even happen. A fan sitting across from the press box during the Colts game described it perfectly. "I couldn't look away from number 41. That's the kind of presence Wilson's built, the kind that draws your eyes no matter where the ball goes." It's wild to think that just a year ago in Atlanta, he was still finding his footing. I remember him saying he'd need about 6 weeks to really understand where he stood. 6 weeks later, he was already showing big improvement. Even had a career-high 10 tackles in a blowout win against the Jets. And when I asked him about that progress this past summer, he told me something that stuck. He said, "I can't stay where I was. I have to elevate, and I know I'm going to get there. Not hope, not maybe." He knew. That's the kind of mindset that separates guys who survive in the NFL from those who thrive in it. Now, sure, it hasn't all been perfect. Wilson's had his rough moments this season, especially during that tough stretch against Cincinnati when the whole defense was out of sync. He finished that game with 6 tackles, 3 solo, but the team allowed 33 points. Still, even through the struggles, you could see him grinding, learning, adjusting. Then came the Packers game, and something clicked. Despite the loss, he looked sharp. 9 tackles, 5 of them solo, strong in pass coverage, and moving with confidence. You could tell he was building on something. And then against the Colts, he exploded. It wasn't just a good game, it was a statement. 14 tackles, flying around like a man possessed, commanding attention on every snap. You could see it in his eyes. He wasn't just reacting, he was anticipating. That's when you know a linebacker's starting to feel the game instead of just thinking through it. At only 25 years old, Wilson's ceiling is high. His best football is still ahead of him. And the way things are trending, that next step might be even bigger than people expect. It's like everything around him is starting to click. The defense, the scheme, the communication. He even mentioned that he feels like the coaches have simplified things a bit, allowing the players to be more aggressive, more themselves. That's when he's at his best, when he's unleashed. Because here's the thing. When you ask Wilson to drop back in coverage too often, you're not using what makes him special. His greatest weapon is his speed, that explosive burst that lets him close gaps and destroy plays before they develop. When he's free to attack, he's a nightmare for offenses. Watching him over the past couple of games, you can tell he's finally getting that freedom, and he's running with it, literally. And there was this great moment after the game last Sunday. Most of the locker room had cleared out, and Wilson and Coach Tomlin crossed paths. They made eye contact, shook hands, and shared a few quiet words. Nobody could hear exactly what was said until the very end, when Tomlin looked at him and said, "Yeah, I bet he does know." That line stuck, because it wasn't just a throwaway comment. It was a coach acknowledging that his player understands what's happening, that he's aware of how far he's come and what's still ahead. Wilson knows. You can see it in the way he carries himself. He's no longer the young kid trying to prove he belongs. He's becoming one of the key pieces in a defense that's trying to redefine itself. The Steelers are trusting him more each week, and he's responding with performances that demand attention. If he keeps building on what he's done in these last 2 games, this could be the season where Payton Wilson stops being a promising name and starts being a cornerstone. What's coming next for him? Nobody really knows, but it feels like he's just scratching the surface. And for a defense that's been searching for energy, for leadership, and for consistency, that's exactly the kind of story you want to see unfold right now in Pittsburgh. You can look at it 2 ways. Some fans feel frustrated, thinking the front office missed a chance to patch up obvious weaknesses. Others, though, see the logic. Because the truth is, a trade just for the sake of activity doesn't make sense, especially when the price tags across the league were sky high. Only 7 trades were made on deadline day, and the going rate for talent was steep. The Steelers have made it clear from the start of this new era under Khan and Andy Weidl that they're not giving away future draft picks for short-term fixes. They're building something sustainable, something that extends beyond this season, and that's a big part of why patience is so key right now. One name that came up was Jakobi Meyers from the Raiders. Reports said the Steelers were one of 2 teams seriously in the mix, along with the Jaguars. Jacksonville ended up landing him for a 4th-round and a 6th-round pick in the 2026 draft. Now, Meyers is a solid player. He's got reliable hands, runs crisp routes, and he's productive, with 33 catches for 352 yards so far this season. But think about those picks. That's draft capital that can be used not just for one position, but for the long-term structure of the team. Those are the kind of assets that might one day help the Steelers find their next franchise quarterback or add elite depth at key positions. This front office has been transparent about its priorities. Art Rooney, Omar Khan, and Weidl all emphasize that Pittsburgh is stockpiling assets with an eye toward the future. It's not just about surviving this season. It's about setting up the next 5 years. The goal is to make sure the Steelers are in a position to move up and get the quarterback they truly believe in when the time comes. That's not a hint that they're giving up on the current roster. It's just smart management. You can't mortgage tomorrow just to plug a leak today. And let's be real, there's been progress even without the big trades. Kyle Duggar, who came in last week, has already earned strong praise from Tomlin. Not once, but twice during the press conference. That's a move that fits perfectly with the Steelers' approach. Younger, athletic, team-first players who can grow into long-term contributors. It's the kind of low-risk, high-reward move that quietly strengthens the roster without jeopardizing the future. Still, it's understandable that fans want more. They see teams like Kansas City or Philadelphia going all in, making moves to chase championships right now, and they want that same level of aggression from Pittsburgh. But the Steelers aren't built that way, not at this stage. This is a team in transition. They're still defining their offensive identity, still searching for consistency on the line, still figuring out what they truly have at wide receiver. Making a big splash might look exciting, but if it doesn't fit the long-term plan, it could backfire fast. And you can tell that internally, they believe in what they're building. The locker room vibe reflects that. Even after tough losses, there's a sense of purpose, a feeling that the team knows who it wants to be. Veterans like TJ Watt and Cam Hayward are setting the tone, showing what it means to handle adversity the right way. And younger players like Payton Wilson, Joey Porter Jr., and George Pickens are starting to carry that same energy forward. It's a blend of old-school Steelers grit with new-school explosiveness. Now, back to the fan perspective, it's easy to look at the lack of a trade and think the front office just didn't want to make a move. But that's not how it works in the NFL. Wanting to make a trade doesn't mean one's available. You can call every team, make every offer, and still come up empty if nothing lines up financially or strategically. That's what happened here. The Steelers were active, they explored, but they stayed disciplined. And honestly, that discipline might end up being their biggest strength. Because the worst thing a team can do is chase short-term excitement and lose sight of long-term goals. The next few weeks are going to tell us a lot about where this team is mentally. They got a tough stretch ahead, with opponents that will test their depth and their resilience. But that's also the beauty of this stage of the season. It's where the real character of a team comes out. This defense, led by guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick and now an emerging Wilson, has the potential to carry them through. And if the offense can find even a little bit more rhythm, this team is still very much in the mix. Every season in Pittsburgh is about more than just wins and losses. It's about the standard, the Steelers way. That idea that you don't panic, you don't reach, and you don't compromise the long-term identity of the franchise for a quick fix. This is a team that builds, that grinds, that believes in development. You can see it in the way players like Wilson are evolving. You can see it in the patience the front office is showing. And you can definitely see it in the way the coaches talk about accountability and trust. So while there's been a lot of noise about what didn't happen at the deadline, maybe the real story is what's quietly taking shape behind the scenes. A team with a clear plan, a defense rediscovering its spark, a linebacker stepping into stardom, a franchise slowly but steadily setting itself up for sustained success. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it's real. And if history tells us anything about the Steelers, it's that real progress always beats quick fixes. And that's what makes this next chapter so intriguing. Because whether it's Payton Wilson's rise, Omar Khan's patience, or Mike Tomlin's steady leadership, everything feels like it's moving with purpose. You can sense that this isn't just another rebuilding year. It's the groundwork for something bigger, something that might remind everyone why the Steelers have been one of the most respected organizations in football for decades. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder in Pittsburgh, and it seems the Steelers are quietly engineering a seismic shift in their offensive line. Sources close to the organization suggest that TEVIN JENKINS, the formidable lineman known for his ironclad pass protection, could be donning the black and gold sooner than anyone expected. If true, this move would send ripples through the league, turning what many consider a shaky front into a fortress that few quarterbacks would dare challenge. Jenkins, whose reputation for physical dominance in both run blocking and pass protection has followed him since his college days, will be an instant upgrade for a Steelers line that has struggled with consistency. Rumors hint that his presence could give Pittsburgh's signal callers the kind of pocket stability that's been missing, allowing their offense to breathe and operate at a faster, more aggressive tempo. Some insiders even whisper that Jenkins' signing is just the first step in a broader overhaul designed to protect the team's investment in its star quarterback. What's fueling the excitement among fans is the timing. The Steelers have been quiet in the offseason, making subtle moves rather than flashy signings. But the talk around Jenkins suggests that silence may have been strategic. A lineman of his caliber doesn't just fill gaps. He reshapes the game plan. Expect offensive coordinators to tinker with schemes, leveraging his ability to neutralize elite edge rushers. Rumors are swirling that Jenkins could be paired alongside existing stalwarts, creating a wall that could rival any in the AFC. Of course, nothing is official yet, and cautious optimism runs alongside speculation. Social media is already buzzing with Steelers fans imagining Jenkins standing like a colossus in front of their QB, deflecting pressure and creating lanes for explosive plays. League rivals, meanwhile, are reportedly taking note, perhaps reevaluating how they approach the Steelers' defensive schemes next season. Whether this rumor materializes or fades like so many before it, one thing is clear: TEVIN Jenkins has everyone talking. In Pittsburgh, a city that lives and breathes football, the mere possibility of a fortified offensive line has sparked dreams of a dominant, unassailable attack. And in the NFL, where whispers often turn into headlines, Jenkins might just be the name that changes the conversation entirely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.